Recording in progress.
All right, everybody. Welcome to my presentation about Unbound Gravel and how you can survive the 100, 200 XL, just like I did with maybe some of my tips. So my name is Sylvie D'Aoust. I'm here in Chelsea, Quebec, Canada. And I decided last year, I have a podcast named Secrets from the Saddle, and I interviewed the ladies who ran Unbound, and a lot of people have just been talking about it on the podcast, like for the interviewees. And I was just like, oh, where is this? So I Googled it. I'm like, oh, Emporia, Kansas. Oh, that's like 20 hours away. I'm like, I'm going to do it. If this is one of the biggest, hardest gravel events in North America, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. So that's what I did. That was last year. The thing is that I went in and I said that I was, so if you've ever registered for Unbound Gravel, any one of the distances, it's through a lottery. So I just got so excited last fall, and when the lottery opened, that I just registered. I had no idea. I was like super just like no clue. And then I'm like, I'm going Unbound. And I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't ask me like what distance I wanted. And then when my friends got back to me and she's like, Sylvie, you registered for the 350 XL. I was like, what are you talking about? Anyways, so that's what happened. And I was just like, because I honestly was just going for the 100. And I guess if you're going to go that far, you might as well go and do a big race, like a big distance, like bike all over Kansas. And so after that, that was November. And I talked to a couple of friends who had done long expedition type of gravel events. I'm like, what do I do? How do I do this? And they're just like, one of my friends, Dan, he's just like, just ride. I mean, just ride a lot. I'm like, oh, okay, I can ride a lot. But he's like, ride in the morning, ride in the afternoon, ride at night. So switch it up where you're riding a lot of different times during the day, because if you're out for 30 hours, you're like out there all day, like morning, noon, and night. And then I started preparing for this. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a virtual dinner party. So I did say bring bevies, and I got my 0% beer here. That I really need, and because I'm really sick today too. So I'm pulling this out for you guys, and I'm super excited to be here to share with you. Anyways, so what I was doing is I was getting in. Now I've completely lost my train of thought, because like we just had somebody pop in. Hey, what was I talking about? I was talking about Dan. Danny's like, yeah, just bike a lot. Oh yeah, when I was getting prepared, my husband's like, you know what? This is a lot like adventure racing. And I'm like, yeah, this is like adventure racing. Like it's just like I'm preparing everything, all my gear, just like adventure racing. My travel, my accommodations. So adventure racing, I used to do this heavily when I was in my early 30s. So that was like 20 years ago. And I used to race 4 hour, 6 hour, 24 hour, 36 hour, 4 days, 6 day. And my longest adventure race was 8 days. So then I'm like, man, I've done that. I can do, did I start early? I can do I could do this. All right, welcome everybody. So what we're gonna do is I don't know if you got it. I did send it just like before we started, the agenda. So what we'll do is when I start getting into it, we'll chat. I'll talk about each agenda grouping, and then we'll stop. And if you have a question or two, you can put it in the chat. I could try and see it from here because I'm like on the other side of the table. Or you could just unmute yourself and we can have a conversation. So I want to respect that it's 2 hours, and we can hold questions to the very end. But Mary, it's great to see you in the flesh on Zoom. Okay, so just giving a little bit more of my background, and I will open this door because like I'm going through these hot flashes and I turn the heat up down here. So I'm just cooling myself down. Make sure you got your glass of wine or beer. I know, Mary, you're in Australia, so you're in the morning, so coffee or tea. So make sure you have something to be drinking. Cheers. I got my 0% non-alcoholic. So a little bit. So that's my background. I did adventure racing really heavily. The last one, like I've raced from like in Golden, BC, in Newfoundland, Georgian Bay, Florida, Moab. So I've hit a lot of different places in my adventure race career. But the thing about adventure racing is that it's multi-sport. It's not just cycling. So I was like, well, sitting on the bike for 30 hours, I'm like, maybe I did that once in one section of an adventure race at some point in time. But in any case, so after I got over that hurdle, and that's specific to me, like everybody who's keen on doing one of these events, as long as you're prepared, you can do it. Okay, as long as you're prepared, you don't listen to everybody else, you make your own decisions. You make your gear decisions and you just run with it. So let's get started because we got lots to talk about. In a way, this is a good thing for me because like I need to go find all this stuff and based on last year, I'm switching some things up. Basically the bike, I'm switching up the bike and all the bike bags. So let's get started. Now, the first thing, I sent you all the agenda, and I'll share it again, but, and I didn't want to share the screen because basically I'm going to be touching on everything here. Also sent you a gear list so that you can do your own research and try and find some things because, racing is expensive. Okay, like you're thinking about all these little things that start adding up. And I was just like, because when I was doing the list for you, because basically this is everything that I purchased. So I'm like, change. I'm like, wow. So let's get into it. So I want to start with training. We're 3 months away. 3 months. So this is what I did last year, and everybody's coming here with different backgrounds, different availabilities, different levels. So make sure that you're consistently out at least 3 to 4 times, like at least 3 times a week. And one of them's got to be a really long ride, or maybe 2, 3 to 4. Right now, we're all still kind of inside for the rest of March, and then April migrating outside, and May. So it's like almost for me, it's almost nice enough to start training outside. Still very wet and dirty, but so inside, I've been encouraging like 6 hours of riding a week. And because I find that it gets a little bit more stressful because if you've got a job, kids, other things, where do you fit like the 10, 12 hours? Like you have to balance it out somehow. So if you just said like, okay, 6 hours, on the weekends, a good, 3 hours is a long ride. Then you've got an one intense workout, then another skills workout, and then you have your long ride. What I did, so I'm doing the exact same thing this year as I did last year. I will be able to get out on the road much earlier because I think I only had 1 month, like the month of May, to train outside last year. So it was kind of hard and it was cold. And so people are like, yeah, train in the heat. I'm like, there isn't any heat up here. I'm freezing to death. Like, I'm wearing my winter gloves and this is just the training I've got to work with. So, but what I did do is anytime I had to go to the city, so I live about 30 kilometers from the city in the country. Anytime I had to go to the city, I would bike in and I would bike out. So I had like a purpose to go somewhere. And it really worked because what happened the first time is I was coaching on a Wednesday night and I worked and then I came home and I gathered everything up and I left because I knew it was going to take me about 2 hours to get like across over to this training area. And then by the time I got there, it was about 50K. And then after I finished coaching, it was 60K. Then I'm like, I only need 40 more K to make 100K for a Wednesday night. So that's what I did. I started bringing my lamps and my lights and testing those out, and finishing up with 100K at like home by 11. It worked really, really well. And I couldn't believe I actually did 100K on a Wednesday night. But anyways, that worked out well, along with weekend rides and another training session, and like little rides here and there. But that's really all I could fit in. The thing about XL is that you're going to be going through the night because you start Friday at 3 and you're doing a full night. So if you've never been night riding, it's time to go out for some night rides and test your gear. So I would have an extra headlamp, a good one. There's a lot of great ones, like really high quality. Obviously one for your handlebars. This is what I had last year and I really liked it. This is very old, from like 20 years ago. We adventure raced. And I look kind of like a dork, but I'm like, I don't care, it freaking worked. And what I loved about them is, if you can see this, they came off and you can mount them on my handlebars. And the cool thing about these guys is that they move. So I can shoot one light way ahead and one in front. And these are like so amazing. I just wish I could figure out how to maybe still use them, but like all the strapping is like really old, and the battery powder and stuff. So I'm now looking for a good headlamp. I prefer having a headlamp because it's way better to be able to look where you're going over having just something on your handlebars and you have to scan where you're going. So I have both handlebars and a headlamp, but that's just me, right? So night rides, long rides, consistent day. Oh, here's another thing. And I got this off a podcast, and I remember Taylor Landine saying, like, when he trained, so anytime I went biking, I loaded my bike. Like, I had full gear in my bike bags. I had like 4 liters of water on me. So I trained at capacity, like with how much it would weigh. So it didn't like seem like a lot when I was racing. Like, it didn't seem like it was heavy. So that's another thing. Cats in, cats out. So that's another thing. When you go training, load up your bike. Everything. Tools, everything. Everything you're going to train with. And then you decide, what do I like using? Is this a good setup? Do I like that I put it here? Should I change it somewhere else? So if you have 2 months of testing out where your gear is going to go, by the time you're heading to Kansas, you're going to be so comfortable and confident. Like it was awesome. Like I felt comfortable and I felt confident in my setup for what I had because I trained on it for like a month. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to change some things up. So yeah, loaded bike, test your equipment. And then like I'm attending one event. Excuse me. I'm going to Barrie Roubaix. I wasn't able to get into the 100 miler, but I got into the 62 mile. So, oh well, I'll do 100. But last year I did the 100 miler, just to test like, how long it was going to take me. And it was brutal for me. I think that's probably when I had this like aha moment where this isn't going to be so much fun. I don't know, but like my feet hurt. So anyway, tomorrow I'm going to go buy new shoes. Okay, so the training portion is complete. If you have any questions, you can pop out. Otherwise, we could just go straight into the next section, which is the bike. So I have my bike over here. You can kind of see the tail end. It's kind of hanging from the ceiling. So right here. I don't know if I can bring it so much over. So I'll show you. Last year, you remember all the mud. Now, if you ride and race in mud consistently, I would highly recommend that you go to a mechanic and have somebody check out the bottom bracket. This bottom bracket came out of my bike. It was so gunked up with mud. It was unbelievable. There was so much mud. I had Vallue come to my house, so they come with their van, and I could wheel my bike in. I could stand there and we could chat. But you could still see all the mud gunked on there. Like it was full. And yeah, so taking everything apart and doing a good spring clean would be a great idea. Also, the brake pads. I kept these just for souvenir, but they were so worn down. I mean, wish you could see it, but I'm there. So we changed everything. Bottom bracket, the brake pads, and the next thing for me to do is put a new chain on. So I will be waxing this and then putting it on my bike because that chain had a long 2 years. So bike. So make sure that you take a good look at your bike and do some assessments. Like just take everything off and clean it and then put it back together. I haven't ridden it yet because I have another bike that I use right now outside when it's all dirty. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this bike before I take it outside. All right, so now tubeless or tube tires, the universal debate that happens on every gravel page for every event. So what I did is I listened to a lot of podcasts about the event, and they were recommending a couple things. Tubeless tires. You bring this tool or something to clean all the mud out of your chain or around your wheel well. Okay, tubeless tires and this piece of equipment. Okay, tubeless tires because of the flint hills, the sharp rocks. Looking at a I went with Schwalbe's G1s, and they have a tougher sidewall. So so that's what I picked, and they are a smaller knob. But I found them really good. I mean, big rocks, small rocks, there was everything on that course, like any kind of gravel you can think of. So there's no seeing like, oh, those are 40s as well, because that's another like what size. Now the thing is about last year, and if it rains and there happens to be mud again, the bigger your tire, the tighter the less less space you have in your fork. Do you know what I mean? So like if you have a really big chunky tire and you have very little clearance, you are going to have big problems with mud. Like it's going to stop you dead. And that's what happened, right? Like my bike has a lot of big, like good clearance, and I didn't get half the damage that some people did. Basically because I stopped cycling and I walked my bike instead of riding it consistently. And the thing is that if you went from mud to bike over to the grass, you then picked up all the rocks at the same time, and then you have mud and rocks grinding at your frame. And I'm going to show you after some of the spots. I mean, I have to use this bike this year, so I'm going to be taking good care of it because I can't afford to buy another one for this year. So I'm going to show you what happened with my fork and my back, my frame. So basically what ground down from the mud. So think about your tires. I know people are talking this year because it's going north and it's chunkier. It's chunkier rock. But the thing is, you get 500 kilometers. Odds are it's going to vary across the board as to what you're going to see. Like, I could believe like the things that I was biking over, like big, small. So it's hard to say that you're gonna pick your tire just based on this maybe one area, right? And of course you want something fast when you get on the less rocky areas and the faster gravel. So anyways, I'm going to stick with Schwalbe's. I'm just going to get a new set and stick with Tubeless because, and so I will put it, oh, here's one thing. So I learned a lot last year from this whole experience, like doing research. And one of the things that when I had VeloFix come over, and he's like, are you going to put sealant? So, because I was going to run tubeless tires. I've never run tubeless tires ever. It took me 1 week to get one of those tires on successfully. 1 week. 1 week, off, on, off, on. It was brutal. The other one popped on beautifully. So it's, so it's just like experience. And so he's like, what kind of sealant are you going to put in there? I'm like, what do you mean, what kind of sealant? He's like, well, you have regular sealant and you got race sealant. I go, well, what's the difference? And the race sealant, which I think it shouldn't be race, just everybody should be using this kind of sealant, is it has chunks. It has chunks of, I put, actually, it's funny. I'm really looking forward to taking those tires off because I have to clean them to see if I actually had some punctures and they were filled from within. Wouldn't that be cool to see? So the sealant that I ended up using before I got Black Ox is I can't even remember what it's called, but it had walnut grinds, like little pieces of walnut in them. And so the thing is that and this one here has carbon fiber. So if you ever watch any of their videos, this will like literally plug some really big holes. So the thing is that when you have a puncture, everything will go and stick on there and make like a plug from the inside. Same with the carbon fiber. So I remember before I started the race, I was like, you know what? I feel like I should put some more in. So I just emptied this tube that I had into my tires. And it was funny because my buddy, God, he was from Europe. I'm so bad. Okay, I'm so bad. This is my tent mate. I went camping beside. He was from Ireland. And I remember passing him because he was like super fast past me. I passed him at night and he was having a hell of a time with a flat. Like, I can't even imagine having a flat at night in the mud. Like, at night in the mud, trying to find that. It was brutal. Okay. So tire sealant. And Jessica, because you're here, I'm going to send you one of these. Tire sealants with particles in it. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you like. Black Ox is really cool. I interviewed these guys, and this is a byproduct of carbon fiber that were discards from their aviation business. Isn't that cool? Now, this is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going down the line of things how I'm going to prepare my bike. I am going to put on protective film. So right here. So basically, I'm going to wrap my bike with a huge sticker. And so this is going to protect some of the sensitive areas that I have on my bike now. I checked and they're not like of concern, but the thing is that I don't want them to get worse, right? And also of other places, like just having, transporting your bike, period. So this is all stickers. I do not think they're reflective, but that would be super cool. Of different sizes, and you just wrap your bike. So I'm going to wrap certain places where there's high friction from my bike, like my bags, things like that, so that I don't get all these, scratches more than what's there, so I can protect the rest of my bike. So that's one thing that I'm definitely going to. My girlfriend's like, yeah, I do this. I'm like, what are you talking about? So this is called bicycle paint protection film, but I did add another one on the checklist. And I was actually looking for something that was really funky because I have a white road bike. And if I could change it to with the stickers for that reason, instead of because all they had were some women and stuff. And I was like, that's not in skulls. And anyways, so I'm going to be doing that. Tri-bars. These are one of the things that I took off and I decided I wasn't going to use. I regretted these so much throughout the whole race. Everybody in XL can use tri-bars. I'm not sure about the 200s, but if you can get some, put them on. Because after 30 hours or whatever, you're going to want a different position on that bike. And honestly, I was wish I had not. So there's a couple things that I I decided to remove last minute. One was those, and the other one was a pair of bike shorts. Regret, regret, regret. So that's, I'm going to fit them on. Now, the other thing is you're going to say, well, you've got your Garmin, your light and everything. So I know there's not much space on your handlebars after a while. So what I'm going to do is fashion a little something in between here that I can put my bike light on, so that it's not on my handlebars or a lower mount, because I have to worry. I have a front bag, which takes up space as well. So it's like figuring all these things out, so it's like the best setup for you. So I mentioned lights, and I showed you the lights. I added some because I'm looking for different lights. Like this is a handlebar light. I want a headlamp, and so there are other ones with better attachments, like the GoPro attachments. So then you can actually, I can actually put something on here and attach it. Like this one does not have one of those attachments. It's like this or nothing. So, and an extra headlamp just in case. I'm like, just in case, because the worst thing to do is like run out of battery life, run out of a light, run out of water when you're cycling. All right, so front, excuse me. All right, so lights, front, back. I did not have a back rear light. It stopped working. And I found that was really handy. Well, for me to see people in front, but I'm sure it would have been really nice for somebody to see me behind. Now, talking about lights and being able to charge them, I purchased this power bar. Okay, it's got a sun solar panel on the front. I don't think that this really works. It's a bit on the heavy side. However, it is 36,000 BTU or lumen or whatever for the charging. And I think that's the highest you can get. It's a little heavy, but like I said, it has a light on it just in case. And I can literally, it comes with all the attachments for Apple, my phone, and you can attach USB ports in here too, and you can actually reverse them and so the thing is about your bike computer is that your Garmin will not last, at least mine won't, 30 hours, right? So I had it consistently charged or plugged into this unless it was raining, and then I unplugged it to keep it to keep the water out. Now, this is what I purchased. It's a Wonder Goods. It's fairly expensive. It was like 90 bucks for this. But this went on my stem, and I'll show you in a second. And so what I did, it's a great bag. So what I did is I had my power bar in here. I had all my cables, not this long thing, but because it was right beside my Garmin, I had it attached to my Garmin all the time. I could also power my phone at the same time. And if I needed to recharge my lights, I could do that at the same time. So I could do multiple things at the same time with this battery pack. And let me tell you, we went to Australia. This thing was charging everything. Really happy I brought this. So this is on the list as well. It's $50. It's not that expensive, and it charges really fast, and it charges everything really fast. So I put it in here. This thing also has places where you can attach things to it all on here. This is a huge elastic. So what I put in here on the side, because it's right at my stem, is I put some some toothpicks. You laugh, but there was a time when there's something stuck in my tooth and I was like, man, I wish I had a toothpick. Lip balm. You could put your sunscreen, garbage in here. It has a hole at the bottom and it attaches quite securely. Okay, so it attaches to your stem and then like right to the side of your bike. So I'll show that in a second. Well, here, I'll see if I can whip my bike over. So literally it went right here. So I could put stuff in it, like as I was cycling, like if I was like eating something, put wrappers. I could easily put things in there without having to drop garbage. So yeah, so that took care of everything, because that was the one stress that I had was, what if my Garmin dies? You know, then I'm screwed, because that's the only thing that has the map on, like has the map for the race. There are no signs anywhere. Right? No signs anywhere. Nobody. If you're by yourself, you're by yourself. So you want to make sure that that's working. All right. So next thing is the chain. I said I was going to change my chain. Oh yeah. The other thing that was highly, highly recommended, apart from taking this, was waxing your chain because of the mud. Okay. Now, I didn't believe it. My girlfriend helped me with this because I had never waxed my chain before. And she's like, "Hey, Sylvie, we're going to go to my friend's place." So we went to his garage and and I brought my chain and he waxed up my chain. And then the thing is that no mud stuck to my chain, no mud stuck to my derailleur, no mud, well, besides the top part where it just kind of sits and gets stuck. My cassette, everything was free of mud. Okay, so wax your chain, and it's also a smoother, quieter. It basically lubes everything else as you, like once you wax it. So I have stuff over here. I'll just bring it over. I use Silka and this little, okay, $5.99 at Value Village. Okay, don't buy this anywhere besides Value Village. It's like a little fondue pot. Okay, you melt your wax in there. The cool thing is that you can put this whole bag in water and melt everything together. And then instead of using this, or because this is basically what I did, everything's chunky. I melted it in the bag and then I just dipped my chain in there. Before you do that, you're going to want to clean your chain. Now I have a really nice clean chain. I don't have to do this, but this is an ultrasonic cleaner. And what this does is it vibrates all the dirt out of your bearings in your chain. It's amazing. You just let it do its stuff. So it's really, really clean. And then you want to have your chain super clean before you go dipping it into wax. Okay, into the wax. So this one is a tiny one. Okay, it's a super tiny one. See? It's all you need. It's a little bit louder, but whatever. There's bigger ones if you want the bigger ones. But Silka Wax is the best on the market for waxing your chain. And like I said, just go. It's funny because like I sent one of these to Vallue Village and then I had to go and buy it back. And then after that, you can't just put straight lube on your chain. You have to put a wax lubricant on your chain now that it's waxed. So make sure you get something like this. These are all in the list that I provided for you. All right, bottles. Last thing. So like I said, when I decided that I was going to carry about 6 liters on me because I had some strategy. I'm going to share that with you after. And that's why. And the thing is that it's a good thing because I was thinking, like based on the map, they're like, yeah, there's bodies of water, but when you're out there cycling, these bodies of water are not creeks. They're like a pond in the middle of the cow pasture over there. And you're not going to get off your bike to go over there to get some skunky cow water. I even brought iodine just in case. There was only 2 water crossings and about 5 stops at gas stations. So you could fill up. But the thing is that it depends on how fast and how long it takes you to get from one stop to the next. Now, like I said, I had 2 big 1 liter bottles on my bike. And then I had 2 liters in my backpack. I had a backpack. And then I had 2 bottles that were smaller. And I am going to run with probably 4 liters this year. And I think I'm going to be safe with that. So like a 2 liter water bladder plus 2 liters on my bike. And I think I should be fine. I'm not a big water drinker. I don't know. Just not. And so I think I'm going to do that. So the backpack that I used last year was bigger and I had more food in it and it started hurting my back and I'm not using it this year. So I was like, I really want to move things from my back to my bike, but I am going to use just a straight up Camelback with a bladder. So that's what I'm going to do for sure because I feel having a bladder is so much easier to drink while you're riding over like trying to grab your water bottle all the time. So that's the bike stuff. If you have any questions, we can just roll right into some bike gear. Any questions, anyone? I'm just going to take a big swig. All right, Mary's back. All right, bike gear. So let's talk about bike bags. Bike bags. Now, this is also a big discussion. What type of bike bags are you going to use on your bike for traveling for this race? I have a couple that I really like, and I just use them for the race. This one here is a front. It's a front handlebar bag. I got it at Canadian Tire for $35. I love it. And the reason why I love it is because it opens towards me. It's got a huge area in here so I can pack lots of food and all sorts of stuff. But the best part is these little pouches on either side. And I literally put all my tools on either side and my tube. So all my tools are right in front of me. I don't have to go digging in the back. I don't have to look in the front. So I really like that everything's in front of me and I know where it is. I saw on a podcast or a YouTube channel, but they mentioned putting your tube in a plastic bag just because of the mud. And because the mud gets all on your stuff. So this is from last year. And I have my multi-tool, my tire levers, my pump. I don't know if I'm going to bring this. This is a disc brake adjuster. So if you happen to fall and bend your disc brake, this is what you use to bend it back in place. It's kind of heavy. However, I was thinking of bringing this because this is just a wrench and it has some knives on it. I'm like, maybe I could use this because you could always use your wrench to bend it in worst case scenario, but it's heavy. And then you have your multi-tool. So super important. Now we're getting into like your tools, that you have a multi-tool with a chain brake tool on it. Excuse me. And you know how to use it. So I cannot tell you how many people broke chains, broke derailleurs, broke chains, derailleurs. Yeah, like one guy, this is like, I could quote you the exact place and probably time. It's like 7:30 Saturday morning in this field. And me and this other girl, she's from like Finland, and we're both walking. This guy just comes blasting past us. We're walking because there's mud right past us. And what happened? He was torquing so hard that his derailleur broke right off and took like 3 spokes out. We're like, that was really smart. But the thing is that now you're stuck and you have to walk your bike out, like literally. So having your tools and being able to use them, super important. Making sure you have your chain links. I don't have them here. I have, this is my hand pump. And I have some, you could either put duct tape around it, or this is electrical tape, just in case you need tape. Wrap it around your hand pump. Now I do have some CO2 cartridges just in case. I don't know if I even bother. Here's a plug. This is a Tubeless tire repair kit, so make sure you have that. So these are all just little tiny things. So that's why it's so nice to put them in this little pouch on the side. Here's some small little bottles. Instead of carrying something larger like your chain lube, put them in a little bottle and keep it just in case. I have 2 of them, but I need to fill them up. You got your sunscreen. Make sure you have your chain links that are proper for your chain and your chain speed. Derailleur. If you want, bring a derailleur hanger. You're gonna have to go to your bike shop to get that. Just get a second one for your bike just in case, if you want. And a small first aid kit, which I have. Oh, here, this is all my small first aid kit, just sort of some bandages. And patch kits. So these little boxes are amazing for putting all sorts of stuff, small stuff in here. So that's super handy. Like all your patches and your tire, your links and everything in this little box. This used to be a patch kit. And it's done, so now I use it for all sorts of other stuff. So that is my front bag. Now remember I said I have my second bag. So this is my front, this is my stem. So this is the things that I have in front of me. And then what I went, because I said I wanted to move everything from my back to my bike. So I purchased, I really wanted a frame bag. So this is a frame bag. It's from Lead Out. It's completely waterproof. I believe it's recycled products as well, but they have a lot of pouches inside, and they have another zipper on this side. And so now, ladies, the funny thing is that I purchased this and then I went to put it on my bike and it was too long. I was like, what? So this is made for men's bikes because their frames are bigger. However, I figured out how I could use it. So you see the end here? I just pushed the end in, squared it off, and now it fits underneath my top tube. So now I don't have to send it back. This was 120 bucks. And so I really wanted something like this. So this is where a lot of my food will go, right here, instead of on my back and where I can't get to it. So this will be all food right here for me. There's also, like, I had a top tube bag, and I don't know, I'm like, how many bags do I need? This has a water cover, which is kind of nice because it does rain, but if I just protect my phone, which you don't really use too much, then I shouldn't need to use this. Sometimes it's handy to keep it open, just slide things in here, but I'm going to have to use this one instead, just to eliminate the amount of things on my bike. But again, it's all about testing and what works for you, right? So I will have a bag, a seat bag. So this is the bag that I used last year underneath my seat. It's a 10-liter bag. I did not use 10 liters. So basically this held my jacket, my change of clothes. This is apparently a waterproof bag, so it has a second liner inside. And it did rain, and I did have spare clothes just in case. But I think, and like I said, I have to test it. I bought this one too. This one is a much flimsier bag. It's a little deeper on the inside. I don't know. This one's supposed to be waterproof too, but I have a dry bag. And the nice thing about having a dry bag is that everything's in the dry bag, and then you just insert it into your bike, your saddle bag, and then, like, you don't have to keep pulling things out. Like, everything is together. But hands down, bring a jacket. I don't know how many people I saw on the sidelines, cold, shivering. It rained, it poured in the afternoon, and it thundered and lightning, like, right over our heads. And so I was grateful to have my Gore-Tex jacket. It was a bit heavier, but it had a hood, so it went right over my helmet, and it kept me dry and moving. So don't skimp on the jacket. Like, I didn't go, and shorts. if you can, maybe a second pair, depending on, like, if you see the weather is going to be nasty, bring 2 pairs. Like, honestly, I had the worst saddle sores. It rained on us 2 hours into the race. I was soaking wet for the whole time. I couldn't sit on my saddle. It was a brutal. So remember, one thing I left was the bike shorts. Big mistake. So I have another jacket here, but I am going to look for something with a hood, because having your head wet and running down your neck is not my idea of like being warm. This is another small coat, but it doesn't have a hood. So, and it's a windbreaker. But they're also very small, so I'm looking for something that's a little lighter than my last jacket, as much as I loved it. So you can bring, okay, so we're done with the bike gear, stuff on the bike. Does anybody have any questions? I might be going fast. I don't know what time it is. Oops. Any questions? We'll just leave everything to the end. All right, let's move on to clothing on the course. I was just talking about my raincoat and the hood. Bike shorts, 100% hands down. Depending on what the weather looks like, instead of like maybe bringing a second layer of clothing, like something thin with sleeves, an arm warmers might be ideal. What I brought that really helped me, because it was a little hot, I sacrificed one of my buffs. I cut it in half and I kept it around my neck. And what I did is I put water on it and I kept it moist to keep me cool. So maybe not one of your favorites, but if you have a buff that's kind of thin, you know, that you can have around your neck, that you can squirt water on it and it'll absorb it and keep you like cool as you get into the day on Saturday. Gloves, you don't have to do full gloves, half gloves. If you fall, you want to have something. Sunglasses, sunscreen. I found this amazing sunscreen. Mary, you'll recognize this. This is from Australia. It's clear zinc and it's amazing. I bought a bunch of these back, like the lip balm for cycling specifically, for your nose, for your ears, and it's clear. So it's not like white. So
have you got the brand written down here?
This is Key Sun. No, I didn't put this brand because you can't get it in Canada, but you can get it in Australia.
Okay, Key Sun.
Key Sun. And it's zinc.
Okay.
Yeah, this is in all your all your stores. Yeah. Love that. Gloves, chamois butter. Oh my God. I found some new stuff. I ended up leaving one of these in the field when I was going to the bathroom. So sad. I was Saturday morning. Anyways, chamois butter, bring it with you. Toothpicks, ibuprofen. I was in so much pain for like 80% of that race until I asked somebody if they had any like ibuprofen or Tylenol or anything. My feet were super sore. Like I couldn't stand on my pedals. I couldn't sit on my saddle. And it changed me. Like it took away all the pain, and then I could actually ride like a human. It was so bad. So yeah, bring some ibuprofen, some drugs. So that's clothing on the course. I can't think of anything else, like, you know, a sports bra that's comfortable, that's not too tight, not too thick, something that's gonna dry quickly. A good kit. I mean, for women, the question is always about like finding a pair of bike shorts that are bibs that you can go to the bathroom with, right? And I did not find those, but I had an amazing pair of cargo pants, cargo bike shorts from Montu, and they were amazing because I could shove everything like in again, like it's like places to put stuff. Like I put my phone there majority of the time sometimes, or food. So bib shorts, cargo bib shorts were good. So I'm going to be looking for some that I can use for quick going to the bathroom, or even some that, like, if you have some that are really comfortable that are not bib shorts, use those. All right, let's go into the food. So I drove to Kansas, and one thing I did not have was a plug-in fridge, which my dad owns. So this year, instead of having a like a cooler and, you know, putting ice, I'm just going to use his electric fridge and plug it into my car. So if you're not driving, like if you happen to be flying, then you don't have to worry about stuff like that. But I intentionally decided to camp because I didn't have, first of all, it was like $100, maybe $150 a night. And I was racing through Friday and Saturday night. So I didn't want to spend that money if I wasn't staying there. So I decided to camp, and it was $20 a night. And I got there early on Wednesday. I got the best. I got really good spot underneath a shelter, which is good because when it rains in Kansas, it rains like, and the wind is really, really strong. Like you have to hold my tent down. It was crazy. So an electric fridge, and then because it's at a campground, like it's at a fairgrounds, they have plugs everywhere. So I can plug it in near my tent, and therefore, because I made some food to bring with me on the race, and it went bad. And I'm not sure if it went bad because overnight, because it wasn't cool enough, or because it was sitting on my bike and it was just heating up. I don't know, but a good majority of my food disappeared. So thinking about that, like I'm not too much into gels and all the sweet stuff. I like to intermix that, but I love having real food. One thing I did do was buy a pizza before I left, and I just folded it and stuffed it in my bag. It wasn't the best when I ate it, but it was way better than nothing. Because I think it'd been sitting there. Like I ate it that Saturday morning. But next time I'll be going to McDonald's and getting like sausage egg McMuffins to bring with me. Hands down, about 4 of them. So these are some of the things that I use. These are pouches. I use them more when these are reusable pouches. So you can fill it up, you can clean it. They're great for making your own squeezable food. So this is what I had. I had sweet potato and I had oatmeal, and it all went bad on me. Like this was majority of my calories. And so I had to get rid of it. And then I went to Casey's and bought a cheeseburger. And then I thought my life had just changed. I had so much energy. So funny. But these are great for shorter distances, like around here. and they're easy to fill. And so they're just like the kids' squeezy pouches that have food. Electrolytes. Decide what you want to use. I use Amped Hydrate from Isogenics, and one of these I can use this in 3 water bottles. So if I have 5 or 6 of these, I can easily supplement. This is just electrolytes for the whole race. And they are super easy to pack because they're small. Where there are some other ones like Scratch, those are good. They're just bigger. And I plan on using some liquid nutrition this time around. So from Infinite Nutrition, they have a meal supplement that I can put in my water bottle that's high in calories. Scratch, this is just electrolytes. Again, this is like the size of their packages, so they're fairly large. Yeah, so having something like this, I'll have to figure out packaging to bring with me. Like, so, but that's kind of what I plan on doing. Water we talked about, liquid nutrition, the food pouches. So now we're moving on to travel. Any questions? Everybody sure? Okay, travel. Now, it's always good to plan ahead. For me, it's 20 hours going from home to Emporia. And I planned intentionally to get there with lots of time. Reason being is that, like, the campground, I got the best spot. I'm able to set up and chill and set my bike up and bike around, do some recon, like check out the beginning of the race, and check out the end of the race. So what does that look like? So I find it's better to get there with lots of time, just so that you're not pressed for time, because I find that that's kind of the worst thing that you could get yourself into is, sneeze. Excuse me. The worst thing you could get into is being stressed about, your tires, your bike, your food, like all these. Oh. I think I'm done. So yeah. So planning ahead. I took like a week to drive back to Toronto, and so I camped along the way, but getting there with lots of time. All right. So travel. Yeah. So extras. Based on where you're going to stay, earplugs, extension cords. I had a hammock, I had a chair. It was a really cool, comfortable setup. Organizing to meet friends, not spending too much time out at the expo, exposing yourself to the sun, getting dehydrated, things like that. And also eating different food. Like when you're out and you're at these expos, there's lots of food trucks. Sometimes you're so busy you haven't had anything to drink or anything to eat, or you eat something different and it upsets your stomach. So it's really important to kind of keep your schedule and maybe bring food with you so that you always have something. I said recon. Oh yeah, bring your floor pump, cooking, sleeping bag. Now, the last thing I wanted to share was the course. And I don't know how many people do this, but I did it. Um, I went and I created the whole map. So I bought a $30 atlas from Kansas, and I basically mapped out the whole course. And remember when I was saying that you can do certain things that make you really comfortable and confident about where you're at, like training with all your gear, testing all your gear. Don't wait till the last minute to do this, to figure it out. Do it well in advance. Like April is the time to be testing all this stuff. And then solidifying it for May and then training. So I found that like you download the map onto your Garmin, but you can't really see everything. And for me, I'm a visual, I like to see things, and being able to see the big picture really helped me with my race strategy. And so what I did is I followed the map and I mapped out the whole course on here, and I brought it with me. So I kind of knew like there are certain, well, there's places, right? So the first one was Cotton Falls. So that was 120 kilometers into the race. Now, so 120 kilometers, I was estimating it'd take me about 5 hours. It took me till, I think I arrived there around 8. So it was pretty, 5 hours. But what I decided is I knew I was kind of the mid pack. And what I decided to do was, remember I said I brought all that water, and it was for that purpose of not having to stop to get water. Because once I got there, there was about 30 people there, eating, drinking, sitting around. And I was just like, oh my God. Like all I need to do is go to the bathroom and move a couple things around in my bag. I can literally pass 30 people right now. I do not have to go in to buy any food. I don't have to get any water. I just have to go to the bathroom and do some changes. And that's what I did. And I passed 30 people right there. Like literally, people in XL travel light. This is what's just my observation. They wait to get to these rest stops to buy their food, buy their water, all these things. So what do you think is happening with that person? If all you're doing is eating Casey's food, and you only have 2 bottles of water, and the next route is like another 100 kilometers, and then you get bogged down in mud at night. So that was a little bit of strategy. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to blow past that rest stop, and I'm glad I did, because those people did not catch me until like around 11 p.m. like 3 hours. And that's when we hit all the mud, and then very few people even passed me then. A lot of people turned around. A lot of people had flats. They had multiple flats. This one poor kid, he had, I don't know how many flats he had, but repairing a flat in the mud, it's like, I can't even imagine. broken chains, broken derailleurs, like broken bikes. So as soon as we stopped in the mud, we got right into the grass and just continued in the grass for, I don't know, an hour until it was safe to get out on the road. And then you continued on. And, but I found for race strategy, that was really smart because I got myself way ahead of a lot of people. And then seeing my map, I could visually see everything, like different landmarks, going into different properties, going to El Dorado, like hitting that city, and then next I'm looking for this, and then next one's Eureka. So it was kind of like I had it chunked up to all these little like expeditions. So the first one was 120K, the next one was 100, the next one was 80, the next one was like 80. And so it kind of worked that way until I got to Madison. I think Madison was the last one. Yeah, Madison, and then, so at some point in this course, we joined the 200s. So you got people who are doing the 200 miler and the 250. So then you actually start seeing people and you're like, wow. And all you want to do is talk to them. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then Madison was that the last had 60 kilometers to the finish. And that's where I ended up finishing right there. Because I missed a time cutoff at 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. So race strategy also can. So I like this. I like being able to look at this and map it out in my mind. And for whatever reason, if my Garmin were to die, then at least I'd have a map somewhere. Race strategy can be, this is something that I decided myself was, I was not going to ride with anybody that wasn't matching my speed. So I'm not going to slow down for someone. People didn't slow down for me, and I get it. Everybody's on like a mission. So because I slowed down for a couple people just to help them or talk to them or whatever. And I could have easily, and when I estimate like where I lost time was, I could have easily made that cutoff by myself. But hindsight's 2020. That's why I'm going back. But this is something like, you're gonna ride by yourself, and you're not gonna ride with anybody that's not matching your speed or your commitment to finishing. That's another thing. So if you're riding with somebody who doesn't really care, well, you should just sort of leave them. Like they're just there. Leave them and catch up to the next person. So yeah, so that's kind of my experience here. I'm glad that I pulled it all out. What I can show you right now is I'll show you kind of like the damage on my bike. It's minimal, but like I was saying, that's why I'm going to be covering it up, because I have to use the same bike for next year, or this year, I should say. I'm just going to come over here. So you should be able to see this. See that? That's from the mud. That's nothing compared to some people that I saw online where they literally ground a hole through their fork. So it's just cosmetic. There's a little bit, I can see a little bit of carbon fiber, but, and it's same on the other side. You can probably see it right in here, right there, a little bit, and up here. No, right here. So, yeah. And this little guy, so if you want to see anything close up, this is what I had right here. So basically it connects. And of course, all these bags have all these straps and they rub on your frame. So that's another thing, like, you know, just from that like the whole logo is like rubbed off because of my bike bag. So, you know, here's another thing. I bought more of these. This is you can make your own it velcros onto itself, so you can make your own straps. Kind of cool. So I purchased some of that because some of these were not long enough for my handlebars. What else can I show you? Is there anything you want to see up close? This is the protector that I'm going to tape onto my bike. This is a beautiful bag. So see how I pushed it in on the end? So I've made it fit. I was so depressed. I was like, what? Like it was an inch too big. And I'm like, oh, like I didn't even think about measuring it. Anywho, now she fits. So this is going to be my setup. I'm going to have my frame. I'm going to have to do something funky with my water bottles. The bigger one will fit, the smaller one will not. But the nice thing about this bike is that I can put my water bottles on the front fork. So yeah, that's it. So any questions, you guys?
Are you doing the 250 mile?
350 miles.
350 miles. Okay.
Yeah. I know Jessica, who's on here, is doing the 350 miles as well. That's her first time. So.
In my dreams.
You don't really ever need to, Mary. You don't. But you do a lot of bike touring yourself. You have.
No, not as much since moving to Australia.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to do from Canada.
I guess so, because like Australia, you only have a couple of roads.
Time frame. Like I had to go with the beginning of this current in Ottawa right now. And I've got roofers on my roof, repairing the roof. But this is so far away. And you've been here. So
Yeah.
you know how far away it is. Like you live in another world here.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really nice. You know, I love it here. But the travel is tough.
Yeah.
I was talking to Karen briefly in Canada about, when we're going back and probably going back in April. And in April, we'll cross Canada all the way to Halifax. And, but then in June, I'm going back again because our daughter Nita is coming from Ireland to Vancouver with her husband's mother-in-law. So I'm going to go then.
Okay, but just to Vancouver.
No, well, Deborah, I'm saying because Claire would really like one of us to be there for the grandchild who's 6 years old in July. I said to Kern, I'll do July. I'll go from Vancouver and I'll do a bit more, but it's like yo-yoing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no one else is on here now, are they?
No, but just a second, I'll just turn off the recording. Hold on, Mary.
All right.
Hold on.